Oh, really? But also, I sold records today, so that is the good news about all this. So, yeah, and I think I spent as much as I got. And he's also filming the filming. All right, so why don't we start off with Brian?
Hello everyone, it's Brian here. I've got some recent finds to show you, and I will also talk about a VC meetup I had with Jason Skills, Low Noise Jason Skills. We have met in person several times, and to be honest, I've lost track of how many times that's happened, but we went to 3 stores, Sonic Boom, Emissions, and Rotate This. So let's start with the 3 records I purchased the day that I met Jason, which was on Saturday. Now, he's also posted a video. I haven't watched it yet. I'm going to watch it right after I make this video. And I have a feeling I said some things incorrectly in that because we were in a coffee shop and, I'm not always prepared for videos. So let's start with the 3 I purchased with Jason. The first is from Rotate This. I purchased this record from Tortoise. Of course, a band I've mentioned before because I really like them. They're out of Chicago. Can't remember when they were formed, but this is from 1994. Of course, this is a reissue from 2016, I think, on the Thrill Jockey label. Now, I think the original pressing had a different color on the jacket. I do love this jacket design. It's very minimal. The back is very plain. It just has a Thrill Jockey logo and a barcode. They released some really interesting records, and I'm always interested in Thrill Jockey as a label. There's a slight corner bent here, but this was in excellent shape, and I'm trying to find the rest of the Tortoise records if I can. There's an insert in here that looks like this, just has track listings and some credits, including the 5 members of the band at the time. I think it's changed, maybe. I think they were known to have two bass players, I think. I think that's correct. Anyway, this is a band that is in the post-rock area of music, I suppose, with some krautrock influences, I think it's fair to say, and also with a bit of jazz here and there, but not overwhelmingly. Like, you would never mistake this for a jazz band in any case. But yeah, really interesting record. If I find Tortoise records for a good price, I will buy them if I don't have them. So here we have the actual vinyl. It's colored, and it's on a really, in my mind, unappealing color. I mean, what does that remind you of? But I suppose it does reflect the color of the jacket. So I guess there's something to be said for that kind of tie-in. But anyway, this is fabulous. I really love this band. I think this is really cool. If you're interested in sort of like an experimental post-rock kind of band, this is really cool. At Sonic Boom, I purchased this kind of EP, I guess, from Sloan. Very well-known Canadian band from the East Coast originally, but they've been in Toronto for many years now. And I've mentioned, again, this band before. Consistently great. They share songwriting duties and singing duties. Very, very dependable and reliable band. You're never going to be disappointed with a Sloan record, although some are better than others, of course. This doesn't have a title on it, but if you look online, it's called Alternates. So what this is alternate versions from the album Commonwealth. So there's only 4 tracks on here, all taken from the Commonwealth record, which you can read there. Neither Here Nor There, Get Out, 13 in brackets under a bad sign, and then the Lesson, One Portrait. Now, the weird thing for me is that although I'm a Sloan fan, I don't know the record Commonwealth. I've never owned it in any format. I don't know if it's on record or not, but I don't even have the CD, which is kind of strange. So I don't even remember when it came out. This is a copyright of 2014, but this is the RSD release from 2015 by the band. On the Discogs entry, it says there's 1,000 copies of these, but RSD said there were 1,500. So anyway, limited numbers, definitely limited edition. And it's weird, I'm talking about this record, although I haven't had a chance to play this record. It's cut at 45 RPM, and it's on kind of an intriguing color. It's on this green, which is very interesting with these suits from Cards, that theme that they had going here. So, pretty good. Well, I'm guessing it's good. I like the band, so I don't think I'm going to be disappointed. Although I probably should listen to the originals first before I listen to this, because, again, I don't have that record, which is really odd. Okay, the last thing I bought from Sonic Boom, and I just seconds ago tore this shrink wrap off because it's a gatefold. I haven't looked inside yet. This is a project or a one-off recording by Brian Eno, Holger Suke, and J. Peter Schwalm, who did this live improv performance in 1998 at a Brian Eno installation. I'm not going to remember what the name of the installation is, but it was one of his installations, and it's called Sushi, Roti, and Reibkuchen, I think. It's a German word, so you can look up the pronunciation of that. So those are apparently the names of the dishes that were served during this event from 1998. But this was only released on vinyl, I think, within the last year or two. So I've seen it before. I saw some new copies of it, and I bought this used copy. It was in excellent shape, so with the shrink on it, and I have listened to it. It is fantastic. Now, when I showed this record in Jason's video, I said there were 4 tracks on here. There's actually 5, so I made a mistake there. So I'm going to look inside for the first time. Yeah. Because yesterday I just pulled out the records with the shrink wrap still on it. So that's like anything. So it's, I think it was a Future Lounge proposal installation or something that Brian Eno did. And there's Brian Eno there doing something electronic. So all improv, which is really interesting if you ask me. It takes a certain kind of musician to make an improv recording, I think. Recorded in Bonn in Germany. The other record is black vinyl as well, but it has different images. I guess that's the actual thing there. Pretty cool. I haven't read what's in the inside yet, but there's quite a lot written here. I don't know who wrote it either, but I will be checking that out. So this is not something perhaps a casual Brian Eno fan would be interested in. Like if you only know 1 or 2 Brian Eno songs, rock songs, probably not for you. It's kind of out there in many ways. You're not going to sing along to this because you really can't. But I do have another CD of J. Peter Schwam and Brian Eno, which I haven't listened to in a while. But I think this is really interesting. For the hardcore Eno fan, probably. I think it's quite cool. Now, another record I'm going to do 3 records that I purchased, I guess, a week or so, maybe 2 weeks ago, something like that. And the first is a band that will always in my mind be connected with Mike, PC31, the Vinyl Policeman, because I had never really paid attention to this band before. As it turns out, there was a song that they recorded that was kind of a hit, or was played on the radio here back in the day. But this record I hadn't heard until very recently. It's Spear of Destiny's Grapes of Wrath. Weirdly, there's a Canadian band called Grapes of Wrath, so it's kind of funny. Now, I did a while ago, last year, buy a 12-inch single featuring the track The Wheel, so I was very familiar with that track, but I hadn't heard this whole record before. Now, I've been looking for Spear of Destiny records, and I've managed to find a few. They're still missing a lot, because they don't seem to be very common over here, and they tend to be expensive when I've seen them. However, this was in the bin for the steal of a price of $10 in really great shape. I played it sounds great. And weirdly, it's the only time I've ever seen it, and I got an excellent price on that, I think. This is, of course, Kirk Brandon's band, and if you've watched Mike's channel for any time, you'll no doubt have encountered this band. I think they're an influence on his own band of Gods and Men, for sure. So I guess from London, kind of a post-punk band. There is the upside-down label. So The Wheel is a great track. If you just want to get a sample of what this is like, just listen to The Wheel. I think it's really great. Flying Scotsman, I think, was another one that was maybe a single. If I'm not sure if I remember that correctly, but yeah, I'm just missing the one after this and then the later stuff. So I've got my eyes open for that. Next is a experimental Canadian post-rock band, going back to post-rock out of Montreal, called Fly Pan Am, and this is called C'est Ça. And I do, as I mentioned recently, love a good hype sticker. This one's, and for some reason, Constellation Records may write the best hype stickers. This is very short, but it says the pseudo-legendary avant rock quartet picks up right where they left off 15 years ago with a new album of phantasmically noise-drenched and deconstructed motoric shoegaze electronics and cosmiche punk. So whatever that means. But the important thing to note there is that they took a 15-year break from their previous record. They came back for a concert, and then a year later came out with this record. Of all the Montreal post-rock bands like Godspeed You Black Emperor, Silvermount, Zion Memorial Orchestra, and others, Fly Pan Am might be my favorite. They're certainly the weirdest. Their first few records are very strange. This is also strange. It's, again, not something you would put on at a party, probably not something you're going to tap your toe to, but endlessly entertaining. And as I've mentioned numerous times, everything on the Constellation label, in my opinion, is worth checking out. So this has inside a poster. And the other thing that's really interesting or great about Constellation Records is that their prices are really moderate. So this wasn't that much money, to be honest. Track listing. So yeah, post-rock experimental for sure. This is kind of an interesting experimental band. Nice polyline sleeve here. They always include download codes. There we go, pretty cool. So that is great. Yeah, I didn't tell you when this came out. This was like 2019, their fourth record. Oddly, never had that. I don't know how I missed it, but it just kind of, I guess, it just missed me somehow. But that's cool to have. Weirdly, though, I have the one after this. I don't know why I didn't have that. And then last thing is a deluxe edition. So I think I mentioned I don't often buy deluxe editions. I said that while showing a deluxe edition of Springsteen's Nebraska. And so I guess there are certain bands I would buy a deluxe issue from, like the Smiths. I bought the Queen is Dead box set, and a few others. You know, if I have the original pressing, there has to be something compelling, a compelling reason to get it. And this one, there probably wasn't a really compelling reason for me to get it, but I decided to grab it because I got a good price on it. This is OMD, Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark, Crushed from 1985. So this is the 40th anniversary deluxe edition. And as I'm saying this now, I realized I did buy the Dazzle Ships deluxe anniversary edition as well. This is a pretty good record. It's sort of in a little bit into the commercial era, so it has So in Love and Secret. Those are the two big tracks off here that were very popular. And it comes with the second record. Second record has 4 tracks that are either demos or rough mixes or things they never used, previously unreleased. The CD version of the deluxe edition has a few more of those tracks. And side 2 of the second record has 4 extended mixes, which I already have on 12-inch anyway, but it's So in Love, the Special American Dance remix. Maybe I don't have that one, I'm not sure. Secret, the extended mix, La Femme Accident, the 12-inch mix, and Concrete Hands, extended mix. So there's, expanded to 2 records here. I've always loved this album cover. Fantastic. And there's quite a lot of liner notes. There's a very substantial short essay here written by Jason Draper. This is record number 1 with lyrics and a couple of photographs on black vinyl. So Crush, Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark. And the second record looks identical to that, except that the sleeve is black and there are some archival images here. And then, I guess interestingly, there's a few short statements about the tracks here. So, for example, there's one track where they wrote, or where Andy writes that they, this track drove us insane. We tried to get so hard to get it to work. It's like, he loves the bass line, et cetera, et cetera. So there's like criticisms of the tracks, what they were doing, what they were trying to do, where they came from, and that kind of thing. Or, that kind of thing, which is pretty interesting. I don't think any of the bonus tracks are things that I would go back to very often. They're quite interesting, though. So, but on the other hand, it's good to have a nice, pristine copy of a new pressing. And this pressing sounds good. I've played it, and it does sound great. My 1985 original pressing sounds great too, but this is really good. And I wouldn't choose this as my favorite OMD album, but I really do like it because it does retain some of the experimental things they were doing, like Block, maybe is a little, not so much of a, well, is it? I mean, some of these songs probably wouldn't have ever gotten airplay and some of them would, so kind of a mix of that. Anyway, pretty interesting. So that is it. I'm going to include a little bit of a video from the coffee shop, although if you've watched Jason's video, you'll have seen that content, but I'll put it in from my perspective. And now I'm going to watch Jason's video to see what he said about our record shopping trip on a very cold day in Toronto. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
I gotta say, rotate this. I mean, they had killer stuff, as usual, in their bins. Used bins and markdown bins. I mean, used bins that had just loads of stuff. Some stuff that I already had. But, okay, this is the first one here. I'm gonna take it out of the plastic because it's really faded. And And this was actually on my want list. Lydia Lunch with Nick Cave and The Birthday Party. So just a single or EP, I guess, from back in the day. 4 tracks. The Stooges cover as well. Loose by the Stooges. Oh, it's good. It's on 480, which I have been collecting lately, it seems. OGs of 480. Pleasureheads, King Ink, Zoo Music Girl, and Loose, written by the Stooges. And then the other side actually is Lydia Lunch, The Agony is the Ecstasy, so it's kind of a split that way. Very cool pickup, not too pricey. I'll just pile them on top of Brian's for now. This was a double. Already had this, and I just showed this, or I'm going to be showing this soon in an upcoming video of my punk rock compilation. So this is actually a movie soundtrack, UKDK. Who's filming in a cafe, so don't mind the noise. But yeah, this is essential stuff in the UK. Exploited, The Damned is on here, The Addicts, Angelic Upstart, Spice Squad, etc. Yeah, it's very cool. And it was cheap. Okay, this is the most maybe unlistenable of the bunch. And not because it's death metal and thrashy and all that kind of stuff, but just because this is like raw ass demos, like literally raw demos. 3, in fact, 2 from 1988 and 1 from 1987. And this is early blackened death thrash from Brazil from 87, Necrophagio. I think that's how you say it, but yeah, I immediately picked this up. Brutal Mutilation. It's going to be really fun if I want like a noisy, raw, very lo-fi listen. So that's cool reissue. Reissued by Nuclear Winter now. And last but not least, we got a little bit of synthwave in the house. Something really cool as well. This is what it looks like. It is an EP by VR Sex. There you go. Debut EP by LA-based death rock synth punk outfit VR Sex, which is Andrew Sinoko of Drat Majesty. Home recorded tracks originally released only to cassette tape, now on vinyl. And Diaz, or Days, that label, reissued this cassette on vinyl. It sounds really cool. I listened to a bit of it. This came out in 2019. Sort of like raw synthwave. So yeah, overall pretty happy, and because I sold a whole ton of records over at Sonic Boom, it helped pay for the